What's up, everybody? It's Goddess Z, and I'm here with another episode of Holistic and Spiritual AF. I hope everybody has been taking care of themselves, mind, body, and spirit, because that's what it's all about. If either one of those things are out of balance, then we are out of balance, and we want to try to live as holistically from the inside out as much as possible. Okay, so welcome to the podcast. If this is your first time joining, be sure to hit that subscribe and that follow if you're into topics such as metaphysics, ancestral wisdom, healing generational trauma, and holistic wellness tips, advice, and modalities. Definitely, we talk about a lot of that. I have guests on the podcast, they share their expertise, and we go in deep on this podcast. So be sure to check me out. My podcast is available on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and pretty much anywhere that podcasts are being played. And of course, Podbean. I always leave Podbean out. So just find a platform that suits you and be sure to follow me over there. Okay. And if you're just coming back and you're my tribe, welcome back, tribe. I definitely appreciate each and every one of you sticking with me every first and third Friday of the month. These podcast episodes drop, and you guys are showing up and you're showing out, and I appreciate your collective energy. So thank you so much and welcome back, guys. If you know me or if you don't know me, your girl's got to get that business out of the way before we jump into the podcast. And if you don't want to hear all this good stuff, don't worry, it'll be down in the description as well. And you can just go ahead and fast forward till about 5 minutes and jump right on into today's episode. But today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's going on with me before I jump into my guest, who's also amazing. Let's see, lately I've been doing some live guided meditations on YouTube and TikTok. That's been going really well on TikTok, particularly. YouTube, you can check me out over there. I've got the live recordings recorded so that you can go back and listen to those. And we go deep in. Those are about hour-long meditations. You can stay on for as little or as long as you'd like. We definitely go deep over there. So if that's your thing, check that out. I'm also on Insight Timer. Insight Timer is another amazing platform that I'll be having more of the little shorter meditations that you can check out over there in the middle of the day. You're having a rough day at work, you need to be grounded, whatever it is that you need, like a quick pick me up meditation style, you can check me out on Insight Timer as well. Let's see what else. We talked about holistic and spiritual AF.com. That is still in the works, so be sure to check me out and keep an eye out for that when that actually launches. And then, of course, I'm on social media. You can find me all over social media at Holistic and Spiritual AF. Okay, and that's Ann spelled out. You can check out the bottom of the screen so you can see how to find me on TikTok, YouTube, Substack, where I do my writings over there, Medium as well. Just a variety of places. If you just Google me, you can definitely find me. Okay, so that is enough about me. I want to jump right into today's guest. Okay, today's guest is going to be Yasmin Mennah. And it truly was an honor to sit down with her and talk with her because we're going to be talking about a subject that I usually don't talk about on the podcast, but it definitely is an important demographic, and that's mothers. And we're talking about busy mothers. A lot of times it's hard for us to balance our lives, raising children, keeping a home, keeping a career, and it really doesn't matter what stage of motherhood you're in. This could actually apply to you. Okay, so Yasmin is going to share her personal story about how she came from a place of being exhausted, overwhelmed, and feeling like she was failing at either motherhood, her career, or both. And so, through inner healing, emotional freedom technique, or EFT, and nervous system regulation, she found a way to reclaim her time, energy, and confidence without sacrificing the things and the people that she loves. And so, that's one of the things that she actually teaches to other mothers as well. She's a mother of four, and so she definitely knows firsthand what that feels like. And she's showing them holistic ways to be able to balance their life, their time, their energy, and to not feel so depleted. So, in this episode, we're going to be diving deep into how EFT helps release emotional blocks and reset the nervous system, why high cortisol levels keep you stuck in survival mode and how to break them, the truth about motherhood, burnout, and prioritizing your well being, and practical ways to reprogram your mind and stop running on empty. Okay, so this is going to definitely be a beneficial episode that actually has some examples and some exercises in it that we can start to actually incorporate in our lives. EFT is actually a powerful but a simple form of healing, and we're going to get into that in this episode. So, without further ado, let's get into it. right, all right. Well, thank you so much, Yasmin, for agreeing to join me in this podcast episode. I'm super excited to have you.
Thank you for
I came
having
across
me.
you. Yeah, absolutely. I came across your profile on Instagram because I'm constantly always looking for, other healing girlies out there. And I
Yeah,
saw the work you were doing. You're doing some amazing stuff. You're doing
thank
some
you.
EFT. You're teaching people how to lower cortisol levels, how to calm the nervous system, and also reprogramming the mind, which is
Exactly.
amazing stuff. And it looks like you've been at it for a while. So just tell me a little bit, like, what inspired you to start this journey?
So for me, I've been in the healthcare for about 14, 15 years now, and I just love working with people. I feel like that is my passion, to help people in a way. But I just saw during Corona that it was not the way, the road that I wanted to continue working. So when that happened, it just ignited, something happened to me, I think 2022, so about 2 years ago now. I don't know who was praying over me or what happened, but when you ask, something starts to just happen in the universe. And I kept on asking these questions over and over again, like, who am I? What is my purpose here on earth? Like, what am I meant to be doing? Because I started feeling very drained and very I wasn't getting, I think I was getting to like a place of depression. So I knew that I didn't recognize myself. I am a very vibrant, outgoing person. And at that time, I used to isolate myself and just keep myself to myself. And I prayed a lot. So at that time, I just figured out that this is not me. I need to get back to myself. And also, as a mother of four, there's that chaos and stress around it as well. So I was juggling a lot, and I just needed to find back to myself. That like I had really reached rock bottom. So when I was asking, I know now that it was definitely some spiritual happening with me.
Mm.
And I've had that now deeper awareness. I've always been a person that like to ask deeper questions, and when everyone else is following the stream of, oh, we have to do the whatever the media is saying, I'm there like, wait a minute, I need to research this.
That's right.
Yes. So I've always been that person, and so I got into practicing emotional freedom technique just to lower my cortisol level and just get more clarity, and combining that with affirmations to reprogram my mind and just release a lot of things that have been holding my back. I used to do a lot of inner child healing, which is amazing.
Yes.
And I've been teaching others the same, because you get to release a lot and just get back to your true self. So yes, that's basically what led me to what I'm doing now. I saw a profound change in myself, and I was like, hey, I see all of these people, especially when I'm dropping my kids off, the mothers struggling with anxiety, struggling with stress. And we're living in a very high paced world right now. So you're just in a fight or flight mode all the time.
Hmm.
So this is what I wanted to help other women, especially, get out of. And that's what inspired me to do what I'm doing now.
I love it. I love how your own personal journey of healing led you into your purpose. And I think
Yeah.
that the timing is also significant,
Hmm.
because I think there was a lot of shifts, tremendous amount of shifts that happened from 2020 to now. And
Yes.
a lot of people were moving into their purpose, so that, like, where we are now with
Yeah.
things just being full flight crazy and full out of
Yeah.
reality, like, there's
Yes.
so much healing that's necessary on the planet.
Hmm.
Um, but I truly believe that anybody that's a facilitator of healing almost always has to go through their own first
Yes,
in order
absolutely.
for you. Yeah. And I love that you work with moms, and I love that you talk about the high stress environment, because there's
Yeah.
so many different irritants around us all the time, whether that be work, whether that be money problems, inflation. Like
Exactly.
everybody on the world is feeling it right now. And I think you're all the
Mhm.
way in Norway, right?
Yes,
That was
I'm
so
here.
amazing. I was like, Norway. I was like, wow. I was
Like,
like,
this sky high with snow right now.
oh wow,
So,
yeah. But
yeah,
that's normal for you guys, right?
it is. Like,
Yeah.
but in the later years, like the two couple of years right now, that it's been dry the whole of November, December, and it's just pouring down right now. And I'm like, oh, can it stop? But
Yeah.
the kids are enjoying it. We are, I think the elders are a little bit more nervous come getting around. So,
Yeah. That's what I was
but
gonna say. You guys driving that?
yeah, but they have
Wow.
good, they know how to remove the snow and get all of that done. So I
Got
help,
it.
luckily.
Yeah. Well, I'm all the way in Florida. I'm like in Tampa, Florida. So like it
Okay.
was actually cold today though. Today it was 45 degrees, and that's cold for us. I'm in Central Florida. That's
Okay.
actually really cold. And last week it was like high 70s. So
So for
so
me, that
yeah.
would be heaven.
Yeah, I know, right? And sometimes I feel bad even telling people about it because they're suffering so much other
When you're
like
like, it's
worse.
cold here.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I got my little heater on. You see
Yeah,
my
exactly.
sweats on. I'm like, this is one time, two times a year I get to pull that
Yeah,
out. So but that's great. I love to connect with people online because that's what happens. We're all over the
exactly.
world experiencing a lot of the same things, and
Mhm.
a lot of us need healing on in major different ways. And then you
Yeah,
also talked about feeling yourself being depressed.
yeah.
This podcast is a lot about the mind, body, spirit integration. So I like
Mhm.
to talk about a lot of it: mental health, the
Mhm.
holistic side of things, wellness side of things, and then spiritual aspect. And
Yeah,
I think you combined them all when you said you were depressed,
yeah.
you prayed about it. Like, this is how we tap into the inner realm of ourselves. So
Yeah.
I
And
love
also
it.
as being like having an African background,
Yep.
we're not really used to tapping into our emotions. It's more
Yes.
of brush it off,
Yeah.
And
Be
I
strong.
yeah, like we're not learning that our emotions is our body speaking. We have our voice, but then the inside, the spiritual, the emotional part, it's not being like, we don't have any, like, a lot of knowledge about it. So it's more like you end up isolating yourself and just keeping your, or praying about it, praying about it, praying about it, and not like really really knowing how to heal your emotions.
Yes. Yes.
Or that, like, I like that you're working with ancestral and these type of traumas, because that's what I'm tapping more and more into.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that. And you
Mhm.
hit the nail on the head. I think a lot of us all across the diaspora have had to put on this shell of toughness
Yeah,
to survive, to just kind of get through, and now we're getting to a place where we can start to heal, where we can start to
exactly.
tap into that so we can
Mhm.
create something new
Yeah,
for our children, like you're doing,
exactly. Mhm.
because our kids are watching that,
Exactly.
and they're learning a different, they're reprogramming their mind to say, hey, there's another way. We don't have to,
Mhm.
struggle and thug it out. We can
Exactly.
express our emotions in a healthy manner and talk about what's going
Yes.
on. So I love that. That's super, super deep. Tell
Mhm.
me a little bit more about um, the EFT. Like, I was a massage therapist at one point, so I'm familiar with tapping and stuff like
Mhm.
that, but it's been so long.
Yeah.
Um, Tell me how that works and like how that worked for you, like maybe the first time.
Okay, so emotional freedom technique is basically the same as, or you tap on the same acupressure points. So where they put where they do acupuncture,
Hmm.
and they had this test done where they injected something through the veins to see these meridian points that we have in our body, that is energetical points in our body, right? So
Yeah.
when they were tapping on these points with affirmation being said, something happened in the body. So stored emotions that are there like blocks, they were released. It started to
Yes.
change. So it just shows very profoundly that emotional freedom technique can be used to lower your cortisol or stress
Mhm.
levels. And just through a couple sessions of tapping, you will feel it. You will definitely feel it, that it's sending signals to the brain that you can relax now, that that flight or fight mode can just calm down. So that's basically what it is.
I love
So
it.
yeah, it is very, very nice. It feels good as well. And at the same time, since you are reaffirming to yourself with affirmations, you are at the same time calming the nervous system. You're reprogramming your mind from limiting beliefs that you've been holding on to. So in the beginning, of course, it feels weird because you're
Mhm.
saying things that are like, oh, okay, I'm saying I'm beautiful, but I don't feel beautiful, you know? But then you have to, the same way you've been told these negative beliefs is the same way you have to tell yourself these positive beliefs over and over again for you to believe it. Because in the beginning, when you were told that you were ugly or that you are not smart, you were probably thinking you were smart, you know?
Mhm.
And then people keep on telling you these things until you start believing it yourself. So this is the beautiful things about affirmations. You can start to believe those things. And I was very, very shy and never thought that I would be on social media, but more and more just stepping into my purpose, that this is something
Mm.
that I am called to do. I know that I have to do this and it makes me feel good. So I have to pursue it, you know? It's like
Yeah.
when you wake up to God, you know that there's no way back.
Yeah, I love that. And I love how you talked about, you kind of tied it in massage therapy, we also talked about how trauma is stored in the tissues. That's
Yes,
why that mind, body, and spirit is all
yes, there you go.
integrated. It's
Yes,
all connected.
it
We got to
is.
think about the whole,
Wholeness.
being. Yeah, the
Mhm,
wholeness.
mhm,
And so sure enough, I would be massaging people and sometimes people would cry. They would
mhm.
have these emotional
Yeah,
releases, and
yeah,
or
there you
sometimes people would just bust out laughing, like
Mhm.
it was kind of funny, but it
Yeah,
was, you hit something inside
yeah,
of them that released, some sort of emotion inside of them. And I think that's amazing because I truly know that a lot of traumas are stored in the tissues, and
it
even with
definitely
women,
is.
like in the
That's why they
womb.
say, "You're a pain in my back," for example.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it is basically, you get so stressed and like you don't know that you are storing these emotions on your neck and in your back.
Yeah, that's true.
Hmm.
Yep, and I just did a live guided meditation yesterday
Hmm.
on reprogramming your subconscious mind.
Hmm.
So when you talk about the affirmations, that's a practice too, like you said, because in the beginning you're not going to believe it. You're
You know.
more connected to the disbelief of
Mhm.
it and the false belief,
Yes.
of what words, which I say are words or spells too,
Mm.
have done. So yeah, I love that you brought that out and how you tied them all in.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
very now trying to be very cautious of how I speak, just like you said, words are
yep,
spells. So I'm trying to be very cautious of how I speak, even when it comes to sickness. Like I am healing instead of call myself sick. Like I'm trying to make sure that things that I'm saying is positive because it's the words that's gonna manifest in the future in my life, right?
that's right.
So people don't really understand how careful we need to be with words. But I used to, like I told you, pray. So I found a scripture right now. I don't remember it, but it is a scripture in the Bible where they speak about how the tongue is the motor and your body is like the boat. So the
Mm,
tongue is the strongest vehicle in your body.
it is.
So you need to be very, very careful with it.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Especially how we talk to children.
Exactly.
Because, like you said, with that inner child, if we think about where most of our stuff comes from, it comes from that little wounded child
Exactly.
that was too fragile and too young to understand and
Mhm.
really takes on everything literally. And we
Yes.
end up carrying that. Why? Because it's stored in the tissue, like you
Yeah.
said.
And
I
then
love that.
we as adults, we think that we're training the child and or we're here to
Mhm.
guide their path, whilst they have their path already given to them. You know, when they are born, they have their purpose already. So when we're here trying to delegate them, you might delegate them into the wrong direction and it dims their light.
Yeah,
So we have to be careful on how we want to nurture our children. Like we do it out of love. We're just not conscious about it, how we're
right.
doing it. So I'm trying to do my best when it comes to that to my own kids. Like they have their purpose, they have their journey, and we can't protect them from everything, but just give them love so they can find their way.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
that's what I did. My girls are big girls. I had them when I was younger, and I know one thing that I instilled a lot was a lot of I love yous. We said
Hmm.
I love you a lot throughout
Yeah.
the day,
Hmm.
just because, and we still do. Before we get
Yeah.
off the phone, before we
Hmm.
leave the house, we always say I love you.
Yeah.
And that's not something I got in my household. And I don't fault my mother. It's just that that's how they were raised. It wasn't a
Hmm.
whole lot of
Exactly.
I love yous, and I know
Mhm.
she loved me, but we just didn't
What
say
to
it a
say?
lot.
Yeah. And it needs
Yeah.
to be said. You need to hear
Yeah.
it. You feel so good when it's said. So I
Yeah.
try to give a lot of love and also let them be seen and heard is very also very important so they can grow into being what they want to be.
Yeah. And who
Hmm.
they're supposed to be.
Exactly.
We're just a guide for a short period of time, and then they're going to
Exactly.
go through their journey as adults just like we did.
Yes.
And then we're just there to kind of catch you if you fall, or to help you to avoid some of the pitfalls. That's
Yeah.
it, cuz
Exactly.
it's their life. We just borrow them.
Exactly. I heard someone say that they are tenants. So
Yep. Yep.
and it's so true.
Yeah. And I love that for us though, because now we are breaking generational cycles. We
Yes.
are what our ancestors had to go through for us to get to this place. None of it was in vain. I tell people that
Yeah.
all the time. They
Yeah.
went through a lot so that we could be to a place where we could say,
Exactly.
ah, okay, you know what? Let's start healing. Let's start doing something different with our kids. Let's
And
start being loving.
imagine just how they have been waiting for us to get to this point,
Mhm.
and they are so happy to see that you
They
are
are.
able to use your voice the same way they wish they could.
Yep. Yep.
So that's what's so beautiful to me. Like I'm stepping more and more into it. Like I told you, it's just like very new to me, but it's like it brings me to tears sometimes because it's like they went through
Mhm.
so much for us to get where we are, and we don't recognize that enough. So
Yeah.
actually, it was through after talking to you, me and my kids. I wouldn't say randomly because nothing is random.
Mhm.
So me and my kids watched what's this movie? I just remember the actor in it, Poco Loco, that Disney movie.
Oh,
About,
Pocahontas? Not
no, not
Pocahontas.
it's a Mexican movie.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. It
Coco.
was
It's
on
called
Netflix.
Coco.
Puco, yeah.
Yeah, Coco. So the child actually is. Uh, they have this Mexican ceremony where they need pictures of their ancestors to keep them alive in the spiritual realm.
Yes.
So if they don't have the
Yes.
pictures, they disappear.
Mhm.
So, and that is actually how it is. Like, if we don't remember them, how can they keep themselves like alive in the spiritual realm? So I loved watching that movie because it was my first time. It's been out for years, and we watched it together. And I was like, oh my God, kids, do you guys understand what this movie really means? Because I love to talk about the Disney movies after with my kids because there's so much meaning.
Yeah, there is.
So I now after seeing that movie, I was like, wow, my ancestors are waiting for me to just acknowledge them and
I
to remember.
love it.
Yeah,
Yay, that actually makes me super happy.
yeah.
It
It
does.
clicked that day.
But
Really
you know
clicked.
what? It's okay. Like you said, I think we come up on it when we're ready. And then with you doing all of the emotional release and tapping into your spirit body and going more inward, it's releasing things and opening things up in your DNA that have
Yeah,
always been there. So everything that you're saying, it sounds like the beginning of a beautiful relationship.
yeah,
And just to find out they've always been there and they're so
yeah.
proud of you and they want you to know that they're here for you to guide you, and
Exactly.
and
That's what I'm
they
saying, that the whole process in 2022, I've now been every day when I wake up, when I go to bed, I always thank it. I thank them because I
yes.
know at the backbone that they were there probably pushing me to that
Yep.
direction. You know, sometimes I laugh and think that, okay, they are here right now and they are probably laughing at me, you know, or like, it took you this long, but it's my journey and it's
Hmm.
every step. That's why I don't love just reaching the goal. I love the process. I absolutely
Yes.
love the process because that's where the learning lays, you know?
Yes.
Get all of the good stuff.
That's the journey.
Yeah.
That's the journey. None of us ever come in knowing it all. Well, we do when we're babies, but then of
Yeah.
course
When you
everything
get,
gets thrown out the window when we go to school.
yeah.
We get our parents, and
Exactly.
we have to start from
All
ground
over.
zero.
Mhm.
And I love it. And I wouldn't say it took you this long. I would say that it happened right when it was supposed to happen,
Yeah.
And then, like you said, you always knew they were there. It's just kind of a
Yeah.
remembering, kind of
Yeah.
like, oh yeah,
Exactly.
you've always been there, and
Exactly.
that's how it was for me. I knew that they were there, but I didn't know what it was as a
Mhm.
little girl.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until years later, at least about a good 20 years later, that I was like, oh, it's my ancestors.
Yeah.
And they didn't care if I called them spirit guides or whatever. All they cared is that I was, being receiving them and thinking about them.
Yeah.
And then
You're
it turned
acknowledging
into,
them. Yeah.
yeah, then it turned into really building a relationship with them. And like you said, sometimes, yeah, I've got some of them, I've got different sets and kinds, and some of them, yeah, they're like buddies. We laugh and stuff like that.
I
And
love
I
that.
got ones in the kitchen, like my food is phenomenal. Okay. Like everybody, my mother even
Oh,
said that. She's like, oh, wow, you cook so much better than I do. And I'm like, man, I got my
I got
ancestors in the
that.
kitchen. And they really do help me because a lot of stuff I'll taste and eat. And I'm like, yeah, this is added touch in here. So
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I love that for you. And I love that for your family and your
Yeah,
kids. And
I'm so excited. I know that one is just at the core of me. I absolutely know that I am the one that came to change the
yep,
family. One is clear to me, crystal
yep,
clear.
yep,
I'm here to just change it all, and it feels very good. Sometimes questioning, and sometimes it feels dull, and sometimes you're just like, why me, like what am I doing? Everything is just like, okay, I wish I didn't know anything and could go on life like everyone else. But then don't, like, when I look at it, I don't want to be blinded. I don't want
right.
to not be knowing. So I'm very glad for the journey. I'm very, very hopeful for what's to come, and I know that they are guiding me in this
Yep,
process of helping others, because we are light and we are love here on earth, and we just need to have more of us doing the same thing in different specters, but
yep.
helping others understand.
I love it. And I love it. Sounds like you're very much coming in, to your purpose. And absolutely. I think it's a beautiful journey. I'm super excited. And
Yeah,
I feel like any of us actually that are here right now, especially with us being into a 9 year of
yeah,
transformation,
yeah.
the age of Aquarius,
Yeah.
like a lot of us are here to make some changes on this
Mm-hmm.
planet because it's
Mm-hmm.
overdue. And a lot of us will be women as we
Mm-hmm.
return to the divine feminine and the
Yes.
divine mother.
Yes.
So I'm excited about that because we need that love and we need that
Yes.
compassion and we need
Nurturing, the
that
intuition
nurturing,
that we have
the
that can
healing,
come
and
from the masculine is there
right,
for us to do that work.
right, the raising of the children, that's our
Yes.
future, the taking care of our divine
Exactly.
masculine. So yeah, I love it. I love it.
Mm.
So let's see. How would you um like what suggestions would you give for somebody who's thinking about maybe tapping into this, like EFT and reprogramming of the mind? Like how can they get started?
With EFT, it is very powerful and very simple technique to use. I would think that just like meditation, when you start it, it feels very awkward, and you might not be able to like keep your thought in one place. But it is persistent work. I used to use it every night before going to bed. That was my just wind down technique,
Mhm.
to have a good night's sleep and just not have my thoughts wander too much.
Yes.
Except that I'm calling in sleep now, I'm calling in rest, and just to find peace, because most people go to bed not being able to sleep because of all the stress that they have in their life going on, maybe financially, relationship wise, or whatsoever. But you have to choose. Like, it's your life. Only you can fix your life. So you have to set your mind to want to change. And that's how I think that when I use EFT, I have to make it part of my day. I have to
Yeah.
make sure that I do it every day, because before I used to do it every now and then. I didn't see any change. But the minute I
Right.
started doing it frequently is when
Mm.
my body started to change, because they say it takes like 21 days or so, or 27 days, to reprogram your mind or DNA system genetically in your body. So it doesn't happen at once, and you can't do it
Right.
1 or 2 times. You have to stay persistent.
I love it.
Yeah. So
So
that's
it's
what I recommend.
yeah, I mean, it's just like anything else. It's a practice, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to
No
come
one
in
is
being an
perfect
expert.
people.
Just get started.
Exactly. Yeah. That's with
Now you
anything. Whatever you want to
yeah,
do, you have to get started. No one reached the Olympic by doing it like just every now and then. They
right.
stayed persistent, they failed, and they kept on going. And that's everything that you want to do. When you're ready for change, you have to stay persistent.
That's so true. When you're ready
Mhm.
for change, when you're
Yeah.
ready for change. I love
Yeah.
it. So you talked about the meridians of the bodies,
Mhm.
and which I mean I know what that is because I've experienced acupressure
Mhm.
as a massage therapist. I haven't had acupuncture yet, though. I don't know what I'm waiting on to do that. Um,
I had
can
it.
you?
I've always been like, oh, what is that? Like, I see people do it, but then when I was pregnant, that's when I started it.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean I've heard nothing but amazing things about it, but
Mhm.
I don't know what it is. Why I haven't done
Mhm.
that yet, but maybe I'll put that on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for people who are like new and don't know anything about meridians, can you describe, because this will actually be a video podcast and of course audio.
Mhm.
Can you describe some very easy meridian points of the body and like what
Yeah.
they're used good
Sure.
for?
So you have on your feet as well, but I normally not don't use those. I just use the ones that are from the upper body.
Okay.
So you have meridian points at the beginning of your eyebrows, and then you have on the side of the eyebrows. So it's
Okay.
not on the, you have like a pulse here. It's not there. It's like on the bone.
Ah,
Mhm.
okay.
And then
That
you
feels
have
different.
on the bone underneath your eye, that bone, the cheekbone, or yes.
That feels good too.
Mm. And then you have here, and then they say that if you have sore points, that's where you have stored energy. So
Good to
you should
know.
work on that point. And then you have the collarbone, which I love. It always feels good around here. You can
I
use
like
here,
it.
or you can use here, like the chakra point. And then you have somewhere around your bra line. I don't know if it can be seen here. So
Yeah,
around,
like at the bottom, I think ladies, we know.
and then top of head, where you have your crown.
hmm
Mm.
I
So
love
that is,
it.
yeah. So when you start, you also have here, we call it the karate chop point, is you feel maybe like a bump here.
hmm
Yeah. So you tap here, and this is where you start saying the uncomfortable feeling or the pain that you have. For example, you can say, even though that I am feeling stuck right now, I completely love and accept myself, because we're
Ooh, I
so
love that.
used to holding emotions and brushing them under the carpet and not really acknowledging it. And if you feel like after some a while it starts to tingle, it's energy.
Yeah.
So when you now start to embrace that feeling, you comfort it and you tell yourself that I completely love and accept myself, something happens within, right? You
Yeah.
acknowledge that feeling. So you start by saying the affirmations. That way, I completely love and accept myself, even though I feel this way. And then you start saying, for example, I'm feeling very uncomfortable because I am stuck. You can say the feeling that comes up, and then start saying more like, I know that it feels uncomfortable, but I am ready for change. And then you
I love
continue
it.
tapping away, saying these until you get to the crown and you now release it and say, I welcome the emotions that you, or the feeling that you want to receive.
I love it. And so it's
Mm.
like a rhythm and a flow.
Yes.
So you just kind of go through it. And that's not hard at all, guys. We can do this at our desk at work. We can do this in the living
Yes,
room. Like,
everywhere. That's why I love it.
I love it, and even doing that to me, it was soothing. I don't know if it was the vibration, or just, tapping into some different stuff for
Yeah,
myself. But yeah, I like that.
I
I
love
completely
it.
forgot all about that. And I used to know a couple of acupressure points to hold, like for
Mhm.
sinus. I still do know a few, like for
Yeah.
sinus, which
Yeah.
I rarely get kind of any stuff like that, and I'm
Yeah.
grateful for that. But
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So you have something called the Flamingo Tribe Official. Tell
Yeah.
me about that.
So that started from me. Like I told you, I have four kids and I felt extremely drained. I didn't really recognize myself. And part of that is me being the mom and not being Yasmin. Like you step into a
Mm,
role of motherhood and only being the mom. So everything else is pushed away. I can't do this with you guys. Or like I isolated myself away from friends, away from everything because my duties was my kids.
right,
So and I'm in Norway. I'm having family, but everyone has their work here. It's not like back in Africa where I can just whenever we go on holiday, it's like I don't see my kids because they raise kids as a tribe. Everyone
right.
helps
Yeah.
out. So I don't see them just as mine or having to run after them. There's always a caregiver there.
Hmm.
So that's what I lacked. And because of that, and I saw people around me feeling the same thing. You like in Norway here, they're not very used to asking for help. Everything
Yeah.
is you have to do it for yourself. And so I meet a lot of moms that are drained, that are extremely tired, and don't know how to get back to themselves. So the flamingo came across as I saw the video of it, flamingo, how they lose their color when they are nurturing their younger ones. And as soon as the kids grow up, the flamingo gets her pink back because she gets really pale.
Oh,
She gets
didn't know
almost white.
that.
So,
Yeah.
so that's where I was. I was like, oh, that's like me. I'm draining myself, and this is not me. I need to get my vibrant pink back. And so
I
that's where
love
it
that.
came. So the Flamingo Tribe, I want to create a tribe of women getting back their vibrancy.
I love that. And you know what? You hit the nail right on the head when you talked about your culture in
Yeah.
Africa and how it's a village.
Yes, it is.
I think we need to get back to that. Unfortunately, a lot of us can't trust the village here in the United States.
That's
So,
the thing.
yeah,
But
like you can't
there's a
trust
lot of women
everybody.
that wish they had it. There's a lot of
Yeah.
us that wish we had it. And
Yeah.
so, like, I know now, like, I am around a close a few people where I tell them, you are allowed to tell my kids off.
Mm.
And other one of them, she was like, it's so good when we have each other like that because the kids learn also. They kids
Yeah.
they learn. So it's something that's in natural, in from for a little child. They should be used to having a lot of people around them. And I find it so nice when we're back home because
I
of those.
bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I didn't have that with my girls, like, so it
Mhm.
was just me, and it is overwhelming and stressful. I don't care how great of a mother you are. And I do remember everything just being all about my kids, and
Yeah.
there was not much me time. There wasn't a lot of self-care time. And we can just get so caught up into not taking care of ourselves,
Mhm.
not releasing that stress. And you talked about the cortisol too. That's really important because I'm not sure. Some people may or may not know, but that's a lot connected to the belly fat,
Yeah.
stubborn belly fat. So, how did that like come about that you realized that your cortisol levels were high? Were you just like equating it to stress, or was it like actual physical changes in your body?
Both for
Okay.
me. Yeah. I've not really when it comes to gaining weight or anything like that, because I've always been like genetically with my all of my from my dad's side, they're like 2 meters tall and very slim people. So I've
Right.
never had that issue, but like stiffness and like I just felt very strange. And the stress and anxiety was one of the points where I was like, I know that I'm just on autopilot, and I needed to just find a way to soothe that. And I did a lot of work from also from my practice and just to see what would fit me the best.
Hmm.
And I like natural things. So I don't like to just do everything that I get from the hospital and these type of technique that the doctor would give you,
Yeah, I
right?
feel you.
So I would definitely want to try something natural before I ever have to go to that place. And so I it's weird that we don't use those things enough, but it's not spoken enough about.
Right.
Hmm.
That's what I was going to say. We're not talking about that as
Yeah,
much, and they'll throw a pill up there with about
easily.
five different side effects instead of saying,
Yeah,
"Hey, just tap your hand right here," or
yeah.
you
Like
could do
people will
this
be like, "What?"
anywhere. It doesn't cost anything. You can teach the kids to do it. Like
Exactly.
so of course that's all by design, and we know that. But I absolutely love everything you're doing. I love your journey. I love the fact that you're reconnecting that relationship with your ancestors. You're teaching
Yeah,
it to your child. You're in your
yeah,
purpose. You're being all divine, feminine goddess out here.
yeah.
Tell the audience how they can find you and how they can get in touch with you, like any classes you may have going on.
Yes. So for the new year, I've started to really get into what I want to do for the collective and the tribe. So we're now getting really deep on the inner healing, inner child healing. For next week, we're going to go deep into that, and we're going to work every week, once a week, with uh, schedule workbooks and journaling prompts and visualization, meditation, and all of these good stuff. We're going to go into then ancestral trauma for February. So that's when I'm probably going to connect a little bit more with you.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
we're going to get into that for February, and we're going to keep on going every single month until, you know, I'm healing these women. I want them to really get into it. So it's not going to be some small stuff scratching the surface. We really got to
Right.
get into it. Yes.
I
So
love it.
all this is done in my community. I have a school academy, and I also work with live sessions. Going to get more and more out there on live sessions on Instagram. So that's where you can DM and contact me for any further work. I also do one on one sessions with the women that feel like they want personalized work with me. But other than that, we will be working in groups, and everyone will have their same work done, and no one will be left behind. We're working together, we're talking it out together, and a place where everyone can feel seen and be heard and just be them and not the mom or the woman in the
Yeah.
shadow.
I love it. I love it. So that's the Flamingo Tribe official. Now we know about flamingos. Now we know Yasmin is out here walking in her divine feminine purpose.
Yeah.
And I love everything about what you're doing.
Thank
And I'm really excited for you. And I'm excited for the women that'll get to connect with you as a result of what you're doing. And I know they will come to you. And of course, as always, I will have all this contact information down in the description so you know where to follow Yasmin, you know how to sign up for her group,
you.
as well as her classes that are coming up. So, With that being said, thank you so much, Yasmin. It was truly an honor
Mm,
to have you on the show today. And I'm sure my audience is going to love you as well. And that is it. Until the next episode, y'all.
yay. I feel so privileged. Thank you so, so much for having me here
Y'all,
and for having
honor
this.
is mine, goddess to goddess.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.